Hi, I'm Daniel Brown. Welcome back to Poetry from Shook's Pond. People often ask me why I don't write more poems about the pandemic. Actually, nobody's asked me that, but if they had, the answer would be because any poems I've written about the pandemic have been about in an indirect way. For example, back in the spring of 2020, I often visited cemeteries. My beloved library was closed, and the cemeteries were quiet, of course, and they usually had a bench where I could sit and read and write and meditate on the impermanence of life and the sacrifice that so many families have made. With that in mind, I'm going to read two poems that have to do with cemeteries, and the first one is called Country Cemetery, Early Afternoon. It's just a short walk from home. You'd miss it by car. A gray clapboard church rests across the way. The afternoon sun crosses from the east. I spray myself for protection against the suddenly unimportant tick and wander manicured lawns overgrown with devoted husbands and beloved wives. Engravings as common as scattered plastic flowers. Always his wife, never her husband. Lime corroded angels rest on their perches. No mediation within eternity. Glossy marble obelisks reach like fingers to grasp God's hand, while timid, embarrassed cousins, tilted, worn, collapsed, anonymous, prostrate themselves kneeling in dry dirt. Perhaps these are less devoted and beloved. The graves sit like rows in a dark theater, waiting for a curtain that never rises. Obscurity remains. The western sun does not whisper answers. A rumbling orchestra pit kettle drum was their cue to enter. They own no special privilege except vulnerability, sewn into their collars, uniforms, or house dresses. Their identification tag as they stood in line for their ticket. Whatever they chose is gone in the dark. Choice is a cycle of breath, sunlight through morning curtains. The Earth's orbit is altered as each of us demand. Now the age of COVID, exiled in cardboard huts, weary of closeness, wind and ignorance, living hidden in masks, smiling at strangers through masks, with faces naked on computer screens. We must recall the gift of a baby's first step, planting gardens in spring, kissing a lover goodnight, and walking to a country cemetery slower than speed limits, where the buried are as unknown to us as we are to ourselves. The only certainty is that angels will not shake cement dust from their shoulders and convert, with acclamations on high, ventilators from the sad, empty weight of devoted and beloved. Where do daily choices gather? Under shelter of gravel, waiting for entry into the theater of night. The next one I want to read is called Cemetery Flags. And I went to one of the cemeteries looking for a grave of a friend of mine who had been a Marine but had died of MS. And I was thinking of all the other things he was in life besides being a soldier. A father, a husband, an employee, a sufferer, And then something happened that defined the poem for me. Between cold, moist rows at night, the black cat stalks on quiet pads, camouflaged by gentle, flapping cloth. It sniffs the air. From knotted beech tree roots, nameless gray fur makes a run and is snared by blood moon sentries' outstretched claws. In daylight, flags at ease blow this way and that. A ritual wind that dresses the dead in uniforms forever. Their journey ends here as triangular flags and rifle volleys. They shared so many other titles before being folded and lowered. A lone dry twig blows directionless this way and that. I step and it snaps, and running away, a frightened black cat. And that is actually what happened. I frightened a black cat that ran into an adjacent backyard, and I thought, well, I'll make the poem a little bit from the cat's viewpoint. Now, 3 haiku on the same theme. Each overgrown grave, beloved husband, his wife, never her husband. Gravel pebbles, a stone sculpture, my friend's grave. Unhinged gate, moss green graves, cars rush by. Well, thank you for joining me this week and on Poetry from Shook's Pond. Give us a comment, tell us you like us, give us a criticism if you must, but please join us next time. Thank you.